Hello and welcome to United We Podcast, brought to you by the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Al Ariola Jr., President and CEO. United We believe in the power of collaboration, the strength of advocacy, and the endless possibilities of growth. From advocating for local businesses to fostering growth opportunities, we're here to ignite conversations that matter. This is United We Podcast. Welcome back, United Chamber family and friends, to our podcast, United We Podcast, here at the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. Today, we are joined by Matt Philomeno from Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages. Matt, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Al. It's great to be here.
Matt, what's your role over there at Coca-Cola?
I am the sales center manager, so I lead the sales center along with the warehouse manager, 165 employees over at the facility on Greenwood.
165 employees. That's not too shabby, huh?
Yeah.
What's an average day look like?
An average day, we've got about 20 to 25 routes, so 20 to 25 trucks roll out. We start really overnight. We start delivering overnight, and the day drivers come in at about 5 a.m. and just head out from there and deliver all of our communities. Pretty much the local news viewing area that you see, the counties around Corpus, that's where we deliver.
Your distribution area?
Yeah. So we don't bottle here in Corpus. We get it from other bottlers or other facilities throughout the state. North Point in Houston and McAllen, San Antonio bottle, they ship it to us.
Well, where'd you get started with Coke, and when did that all start?
Actually, I've been in Corpus for 30 years, moved here when I was 14 or 15 with my parents. I worked at H-E-B for 13 years, so I kind of cut my teeth on the leadership at H-E-B, was a grocery manager and in other roles. I've been with Coke overall for 12 years. We transitioned to Arca Continental, Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages 7 years ago, and but I was recruited by somebody I knew in H-E-B in the wine business, worked for Republic National Distributing as well, and got brought on as a food service on-premise district sales manager, and just kind of moved up from there over the years.
Well, I'm assuming you like it?
Yeah, it's great. It's changed a lot, and it's since we got purchased by Arca Continental out of Monterrey, Mexico.
Yeah.
Our parent company, if you will. It's the culture, the people is at the heart of everything we do.
I can assume a lot of what you guys do has to be a lot about consistency and best practices. Is there any kind of day that's different, or any time that's busier, or some?
Yeah. In this role, as sales center manager, every single day is different, and you run into a different challenge every day, and it just keeps you on your toes. As far as running the business, we try to keep it as consistent as possible. Sure. We've got some great relationships with our local partners in what we call large store and small store. So the Dollar Generals, Family Dollars, Circle K's, Stripes in small store, and then the H-E-B's and Walmart's, the big guys in the large store format. Got great relationships with those customers. They trust us and trust us to do the right thing every day. Staffing can be an issue and a challenge with everybody, but I think we've overcome that over the last couple of years. And as long as we've got a good culture and a good base, and our employees are happy and come to work happy every day, try our best to keep them happy, we can stay pretty consistent.
Well, you talk about the culture, which is I think tangible. You can see it in the community, how you guys engage, where you get involved. Do you want to share some of those particulars of? Sure.
Absolutely. We work with Terry Mills and Their Day Foundation. We just got done with an event, the Fall Festival, over at the Corpus Christi State-Supported Living Center. We usually do an event with them in the spring and in the fall. We're going to try to do one this summer. But it's just great to work with that part of the community and the often forgotten folks over there at the State Supported Living Center, the adults with special needs. So it's very rewarding, and it's not just the leaders from my facility that attend. We invite everybody down to the front line. So there's a big scope of folks that get to participate in that. We do beach cleanups, just kind of the normal stuff throughout the community, and was one of the reasons I reached out to you guys, because we were part of the Hispanic Chamber years ago, and once things changed a little bit, we kind of we're not part of it, and now we're just really happy to be part of it again.
And we're happy to have you as a part of the United Chamber of Commerce. You mentioned the Hispanic Chamber, our merger. The culture evolution, like you mentioned, of your organization, you're seeing it with ours as well, and we're pretty excited about it too. Speaking of our culture here, the United Chamber, our staff development is pretty important. So they send us to the U.S. Chamber Institute of Management Training, and it's in Athens, Georgia. So we stopped by Atlanta, and I made a big deal this year to take my staff to the land of Coca-Cola, and just so that they can observe the story, the branding, what you guys do is magic. I mean, everything about how it was the inception of it, and it's. To be global like this, I'm honestly having a hard time putting it into words.
It's a great story, and so Coca-Cola North America out of Atlanta, Georgia is kind of our we're individual bottlers throughout the country. So we're Arca Continental, Coca-Cola Southwest Beverages. Several years ago, the Coke company basically got a bottler investment group together, and everybody who wanted to purchase territories purchased, and thank God we got purchased by Arca Continental, because that's the best. It's been the best 7 years of my life work-wise, and the culture that Arca has built with Coke Southwest has just been amazing. We're the third largest out of the top 11 Tier 1 bottlers out of the entire country. There's 77 total bottlers. And I'm proud to say, and I'll brag about it all day long, as of this year, we're a $4 billion company.
Wow. Well, and that's what I was going to say. Is there a competitive nature amongst y'all, the different distributions? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because in my past life, when I worked at HEB, it was very competitive store by store, and you're competing with stores down the road, and some people just, I want to beat this store sales. It's funny because there's a lot of support. I just flew in last night and landed at 10:30, and we had our 2024 sales rally in Dallas, which we presented everything 2024 and beyond. And then we had our leaders forum yesterday at Globe Life Field, home of the Texas Rangers.
The world champions,
and we, all the top 400 leaders of the whole company, Coke Southwest. So we've got Eastern New Mexico, Oklahoma, and all of Texas. Huge territory. So we all were together on the field at Globe Life. And everybody's really supportive of each other. I mean, it's a great time to connect and network with folks you don't get to see every day. So I'm down south in Corpus. I get to connect with folks from West Texas, North Texas, East Texas, and we get to see each other all in one place.
When you guys are connecting, do folks ask you about Corpus?
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants to know about the beach and the fishing. They know I have a boat. I live out in Padre Island. Moved here 30 years ago. We moved out to the island with my parents. I graduated from Flower Bluff High School, and proud to be, I call myself a Texan, even though I wasn't born here. But yeah, everybody wants to know how the fishing is, how the beaches are. I was like, well, come down and find out.
Yeah. You're welcome home.
Get out of the big cities. The big cities are great, but Corpus is very unique.
Well, you mentioned that you're a transplant. Where are you from originally?
I was actually born in Ohio, in a little town called Ashtabula. It's on Lake Erie, on the shores of Lake Erie, on the Ohio and Pennsylvania border. I don't remember much about it. My parents grew up there, but I know it was cold in the wintertime. We moved to South Florida when I was around 3 years old. Lived there for 11 years, and like I said, we moved here in 1993. So Texas is really home. It's my family lives in Florida, so we're actually going down there. My wife and I to spend Christmas with my mother. She lives in Palm Beach, and my dad and stepmom live on the East Coast or the West Coast of Florida. So Texas is home. It's just my brother and I here now, but we also we love to go back there and visit them.
What do you guys enjoy doing in town?
It's all about the salt water for us. It's
Yeah.
all about the salt water.
Is that how we're keeping you here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It would be very hard to leave one of these days. I may have the chance to move on to a bigger city, and I'm okay with that. But it'd be hard to pull me away from the bay, the Laguna, offshore. It's just, growing up in South Florida and South Texas my whole life, I've always been on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming you fish?
I do. I do. Not enough.
You need to do it more often.
I do.
Have you engaged in any tournaments or anything fun?
Yeah, a couple times. And I would like to do it more because, summertime around here, it seems like there's a fishing tournament every single day, every weekend for sure. But yeah, we're always looking to. I know we sponsor along with HEB the United Way fishing tournament that happens every. The middle of every summer, end of every summer, and I got to be a part of that the year before last. The fishing is kind of my thing. I play golf more than I fish now, so gotta share the love with the boat that's been sitting on the side of the house lonely. So
yeah, the weather's been a lot, right? Let's go back to Coca-Cola. Sure. It's such a staple, across the country. It's probably in every home. The brand impact. Can you maybe just share your pride in that? What you see, how people a Coke and a smile. You know what I mean?
It's huge, and I'm glad you asked that out because we talk about that a lot. Culture, the memories created. I mean, you can't see and go anywhere throughout the holidays without seeing Santa,
right.
Coca-Cola, and I was just up in Grapevine, and that's a huge Christmas city, right? And it just makes me proud to work for the company and hear all the stories that people have because everybody has a Coke story from their childhood, whether it's like a cold Coke out of a glass bottle or just your favorite flavor. Mine's Coke Zero, but yeah, there's a lot of testimonials out there that we actually include in a lot of our marketing, a lot of our advertising from people that just grew up and have fond memories in their childhood and their life around. Coca-Cola was part of it, so it's iconic brand.
It's an iconic brand. You see the logo, you feel something. Like you said, it's. Yep. You can't. That's putting magic in a bottle, right?
It is for sure. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. The overall. How long did you say you've been with the Coke?
I started in August of 2011, so 12 and a half years.
You mentioned, and I could assume the pandemic had something to do with staffing challenges at that point in time. To be honest with you, I'm still hearing in the market that most folks are challenged with staff. You said that you guys are doing pretty good.
It was just everybody faced it, right? It was a challenging situation. That's what I love about this company is, and we talked about it yesterday when we were in Dallas. We don't know what's coming in 2024. We know what we've been through the pandemic, through Hurricane Harvey. Literally right after ARCA purchased us, we had Hurricane Harvey.
Oh, wow.
So it was, those unique situations may be painful and they leave scars.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you learn a lot from it about yourself, about the people that work with you, for you, and around you. And when you do it as a team, we're a medium-sized sales center. We're not as big as Houston and in San Antonio and some of the sales centers in North Texas. So we're really a close-knit family, and it fills me with pride and happiness when I see people wanting to come to work after a hurricane or, wanting just to go above and beyond during the pandemic when, we didn't really know how contagious it was. We worked with masks on for over a year, off and on. That was really tough, especially in the summertime. So staffing, delivery driver staffing has always been a challenge in Corpus Christi just because of the competitiveness with the petroleum industry.
Sure, with industry, with a lot of partners.
So we faced that during the pandemic more than anything, just being shorthanded on drivers. But we made it through.
Yeah, with drivers, is that still the case? I know that the Chamber really value workforce development and education, and there's a lot of certifications tied to trucking. You can't just do trucks, right?
There are, and I think the more we kind of meet, I can really highlight some of the things that we do for our drivers, and join with the Chamber to kind of help promote that and let people know what it takes, because you're right, Al. I mean, it's you can't just walk in and get your Class A CDL. It's a process. Our company came up with a great program called the CDL Academy last year, and we actually won some awards globally for it. Arca Continental operates in 5 different countries, and we won the Value Generation Cup for specifically around the CDL Academy. So we basically paid for the drivers to train internally. Big investment. We recruited our internal folks, we promoted them, and sent them through the training. And that's the best way to find people internally.
Right.
We can hire a driver off the street all day long, but how committed, how dedicated are they going to be to stay? We find when we make that investment in our folks, it's an investment for the future, and hopefully they stay with us.
Right, and to that point, that those folks, your folks, they've showed they are invested, right? That they obviously value the culture, and they're liking what they're seeing, and they want to help it grow too, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It's a huge time investment for them and their families. It's something totally different than what they were used to. And we graduated 4 of our people that we promoted last year to through the CDL Academy in Corpus. And throughout the company, there's been dozens and dozens of graduates, and now they're driving the big red truck and well, on their journey to hopefully bigger and better things in the future.
Big red trucks full of flavor. So I mentioned the World of Coke, and the parent company showed us all the flavors that are across the world, and some are more interesting than others, right? But is there a favorite that you have of or is Coke, or is
it's Coke Zero for me, or Diet? I actually Diet Coke forever.
Me too. I'm a Diet Coke drinker.
And then I'm gonna have to get you transitioned to Coke. At least try Coke Zero and see how you like it.
I tried. I like it.
You can drink both.
How about this? I won't say no to a Coke Zero. In restaurants too, some restaurants, when some say we don't have Diet, we only have Zero. How is that a thing?
I'm glad you asked, because that's a challenge for us. That's all part of our. So I'd mentioned large store, small store, and the way we talk about our different channels, the way we go to market. Food service on premise is our most profitable channel, and it's not the highest volume channel. We don't sell a ton of cases out of that channel, but it's very profitable, and everything restaurant, schools, college, universities, hospitals. And part of our challenge as a company and a part of our charge is to have Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Sprite, Coca-Cola, and Fanta Orange in every single account. And that's just something we work on every single day. So if you go somewhere else within Corpus and they don't have Coke Zero, make sure you text me.
Okay.
I'll send my sales folks over there, because that's something that they work on every day.
You brought up Fanta. Is there something more regional than others? Is there something like Corpus that Corpus likes better than other things?
Dr. Pepper is big in Corpus. Dr. Pepper, and it's a whole other, we don't have time on this podcast to talk about how that all works, but we do sell pepper within our geographical area. Not all areas around Coke Southwest do.
Okay.
But we sell almost as much Dr. Pepper as we do Coca-Cola, if you can believe it.
I can, yeah. How about Diet Dr. Pepper?
Diet Dr. Pepper and all the new flavors, zero sugar. I don't know if you've tried the strawberries and cream yet. It's excellent.
I have not.
Yeah, next time you go to the store, look for the Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream. Zero is the one I drink. But,
You're big on the zero.
I am. I love those zeros. I'll drink any flavor we've got, but typically it's the diets and the zeros. But that's a good question, Al. I mean, Fanta, it's got a strong following in the South, in South Texas especially, but it's a brand that we want to have on every single display.
Gotcha.
Fanta Orange.
Gotcha. You mentioned your folks and family. Is there anyone else you want to give some love to shout out to?
Well, our public affairs director, Ada Ortega, I talked to her the last couple of days, and she's very excited for us to be able to sit down. She wants to be able to meet you. She's out of Houston. My direct supervisor, Rodrigo Gomez, he's a great coach, a great mentor. He manages Corpus, Laredo, and McAllen. So he's our director of sales and operations for the South area. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our vice president and general manager, Suzanne Brady-Lusk. She's just been a great mentor to me, a great support. She covers the entire South area. South Market Unit is what we call it. So Houston over to Waco, over San Antonio, Laredo, everything basically south of Waco and Houston is her territory, and then she's got a counterpart up north that covers North Texas and Oklahoma and New Mexico. But the three of those folks, I think, they've been very supportive in everything we want to do community-wise, and we just need to keep at it.
Well, I'm glad you brought up mentorship, and you've been touching on culture and why that matters. It seems to be that you've grown, would you say, professionally and personally through Coca-Cola?
Absolutely. This is my first podcast.
Well, you're doing great.
Hopefully I'm doing okay.
Great, yeah.
Sometimes I don't like the way my voice sounds on camera or on a microphone, but yes, absolutely. There were times that I'd never really liked to, I was kind of shy.
Sure.
But you can't, and I've learned over the years in leadership roles, that's really what helped me to develop. I was an area sales and merchandising manager before I got promoted to the sales center manager here in Corpus. Did that for 6 years, and you have a team of direct reports that count on you every single day. And everybody has bad days, but you can't show it, and you have to be able to communicate effectively and be able to be supportive to your team every single day. So over the years, it becomes natural after a while, but some people's tanks, run down and you get tired. The last 3 days, I got to admit, I was tired when I got home last night, but I was excited about this morning.
Well, I'm glad.
And excited about coming back into the office here locally and working with my folks here in Corpus.
Well, every day's different, like you said, right? And some days are more of a grindstone day than others, but I'm glad you joined us today. I'm glad you shared your story. I'm glad you shared about Coca-Cola. We're also just glad that you're re-engaged with the organization, and we hope that we can continue to offer value to your organization as much value as you continue to offer the community and us. And so I can't thank you enough for that, Matt.
Thanks, Alan. And we look forward to working with you and with United Chamber and anything and everything we can do. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll see you at the meetings and hopefully the next podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank also our audience for joining us today for our podcast, United We Chamber. We will see you next time.